Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Pearson, your elementary ELL teacher. Today, we're going to answer questions using the selection vocabulary words from the First Grade Journeys Lesson 2 and the story, The Storm. So basically, you're going to answer questions to show that you understand the vocabulary words from the story. So let's go over our turn and talk routine. I'm going to ask you a question with the vocabulary word, and you're going to think about your answer. And if you have someone at home, you can pair up with a partner and talk about your answer with them. Or you can be my virtual partner, and then you're going to share your answer out loud. I can't hear you, but I know you're going to do a great job. So let's get started. Our learning target. I can use new words I learn in different ways to show that I know what they mean. So that means you're going to answer the question using the vocabulary word, and this will show that you know what the vocabulary word means. Also, I can listen and take turns when I'm having conversations. Success criteria, that means how will you know you're successful at using the vocabulary words and listening and taking turns with a partner or with me? Well, this lesson is like climbing a learning mountain, and our goal is to get to the top. And here's our steps to get to that tippy top of the mountain. I will listen to each question that uses one of the vocabulary words. So listen to the question. And then I will take turns answering each question with your partner or with me using the vocabulary word in your answer. That will tell me that you understand what the word means. All right, so let's review the vocabulary words. Number 1, do you remember this word? Bed. A bed is a piece of furniture for sleeping. Bed. Number 2, come. Come means to move to a person or place. Come. Number 3, pop. A name of a grandfather or older male family member. Pop. Number 4, storm. A storm is a strong wind with rain, sleet, or snow. Number 5, wet. Wet means being covered with water. Wet. Number 6, downpour. That's a compound word. Down and pour is downpour. A large amount of rain that falls all at once. Downpour. Number 7, raging. Comes from the root word rage. It is happening in a strong or out of control way. Raging. Number 8, cozily. Comes from the root word cozy. Warm, comfortable, and relaxed. Cozily. So let's go over our turn and talk rules. If you have a partner at home, you're eye to eye, knee to knee. Number 2, first one person talks, the other person listens. 3, then the next person talks, the other person listens. And if you're my partner, make sure that you listen to what I say and listen to the question closely, and then you can talk. But do not talk too long on your turn, or your partner will not have time to have a turn. So here's our first question. It says, tell about a storm that you have seen. Tell about a storm you have seen. So you could say, I saw a storm. So when did you see a storm? Or tell me more about a storm you have seen. So you could say, I saw a storm, and finish your thinking. Well, when I was your age, I saw a storm where it was very windy, and I was by some water, and the water had lots of waves. In fact, the waves were called whitecaps, And guess what? The storm was so windy that our electricity went out. So that was the kind of storm I saw. It was kind of like the one in the picture with the flashing lightning, but it was very windy, so much so that the electricity went out and it was dark in our house. We had to use um, flashlights or candles. So, number 2, have you ever had a family member come to your house? Tell about it. Have you ever had a family member come to your house? Tell about it. So think. I had blank come to my house. It was, so think about a family member who's come to your house and tell me about it. I had blank come to my house. It was, well, when I was in first grade, I had my cousin Ginger come to my house, and it was so much fun because we were only 4 months apart in age. We were basically the same age, and so we loved to play. So we were so excited to see each other. It was so much fun. Number 3, what does it look like if the wind is raging? So look at the picture clues. What does it look like if the wind is raging? You could describe the pictures here or some other picture in your head. When the wind is raging, it is, so finish that sentence. Say it out loud. When the wind is raging, it is, well, when the wind is raging, it is very powerful. It's almost like it's angry because there's so much force, and it can push people or it can push trees and it can make really heavy things turn over. Number 4, look at the pictures here. We've got a downpour, a fan, and a puddle, and wet, and a wet person. Which would get you wet? Would a puddle get you wet, a fan get you wet, or a downpour? Which would get you wet? So choose a puddle, a fan, or a downpour. So I think a blank would get you wet because, and tell me why. I think a would get you wet because, okay, well, I think a puddle would get you wet if you jumped in it, but if you didn't jump in it, I don't think it would. I also think a downpour would get you wet because that means a huge amount of rain would get comes down all at once. And if you didn't have, even if you had the right clothing on, there would be so much rain that I bet you would still get very wet. So, our last question, what makes you feel cozily tucked in bed? What makes you feel cozily tucked in bed? So you can say, I feel cozily tucked in bed when, and you could use our picture clues up at the top with the boy or the dog or the kitten. I feel cozily tucked in bed when, well, I feel cozily tucked in bed when I have a really fluffy blanket and I have a good book to read so I can fall asleep, just like the kitten in the picture has, it looks like a book next to him. Also, I know one of my daughters used to like to sleep with a stuffed animal, so that made her feel very cozily tucked in bed. So let's reflect on our learning target. How time to reflect, just like Winnie the Pooh and Tigger looking at their reflection. Think about, how did you do with the learning target? I can use new words I learn with a partner to show that I know what they mean. So, 4, I could teach this lesson. I was able to use all the vocabulary words and answer all of the questions. Did you do that? What do you think you got, a 4? A 3, I was able to use the vocab words and answer most of the questions. That would be a 3. Or 2, I was able to use the vocabulary words and answer some of the questions. That would be a 2. Or 1, I was not able to use the vocab words and answer the questions. How do you think you did on a scale of 1 to 4? 4, 3, 2, or 1? Well, boys and girls, it was fun talking to you about the vocabulary words and answering questions. Have a great day.